when you're winning. Get a goal, it's just the beginning. You gotta sing when you're winning. Everywhere you go. Everywhere you go. You gotta sing when you're winning. Get a goal, it's just the beginning. Sing, sing when you're winning. Everywhere you go.
Hello and welcome to episode 32 of the Sing When You're Winning, a fantasy football league oddity podcast featuring distant cousins of podcast royalty and a very special guest who we'll reveal very, very shortly. Waiting in line for the podcast to run this week are myself, Jamie, we've got Steve, and we've got Lee. Jersey Chris has dropped off for the first time. He was consistent, but he's not around this week, so hopefully be back next week. So everyone can introduce themselves, the name of the team. And this week, this Friday morning, well, it was Tuesday night, we have big news, breaking news, that our league sponsor, the Terrace, are pleased to announce that they are the official on-demand supplier to Soccer Aid 2025.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant news.
Congratulations to Carl and the team.
Thought they'd been quiet.
Yeah, Soccer Aid. So my question this week is, do you prefer Soccer Aid or Lemonade? What do we think, people? Soccer Aid or Lemonade?
Easy. Soccer Aid. I am not a Lemonade fan at all.
You know, what if I said
never really liked it. Cherry Aid's all right. Yeah, I don't mind Cherry Aid. I'm a dandelion and burdock man.
Oh, yeah.
That's my go-to. Or ginger beer.
Good stuff. I also went with food or drink, seeing as how the pancake piece last week went down so well. I thought I'd keep the
my
new...
pancake went down very well, thank you.
Did it? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Did anyone go for the Marmite and cheese afterwards?
No,
not yet.
Mine pre-pod.
No. You did have yours pre-pod, didn't you? Yeah. I have my tea post-pod most weeks, so there we go. But yeah, Soccer Aid or Lemonade for you, Steve?
Well, it's a stupid question, isn't it? Because how can you compare Lemonade and Soccer Aid? It's just
it depends how much
you've excelled yourself with this one, Jamie. You really have.
It's an opportunity to talk about why you might like Soccer Aid. To be fair.
All right, okay. I used to like Soccer Aid, but now it's just full of like YouTubers, and I don't know who any of them are, and I think it's not for me anymore. I've outgrown it.
Yeah. There's a lot of people like that in there now. In there you go. Who's that? I've absolutely no idea. And then like Alfie will go, "Oh, that's such and such a body who does this," and I'm like, "No, I still don't know."
And then they all have the big game. Didn't they all play at Wembley there some of the other day? Didn't they? All the YouTubers played.
There's a YouTube thing there the other day. Did it finish 9-9, which I just thought, come on, that's like watching just some people knock about at the park. But they raised lots of money for charity, so I'm not criticizing that element.
Raised about 4 million, I think, didn't they? Was it the Sidemen against somebody else?
Yeah, against a load of YouTubers. But who wants to go?
It's not my thing. Unless they want to invite veteran podcasters to play at Wembley, then I'm all for it.
Yes. I mean, maybe
good 5 minutes out of me.
Maybe Carl could let us in. I mean, I'm all for dropping my love for Lemonade to go and visit Soccer Aid and maybe do a pod special with Carl.
Well, I think there's got to be a Sing When You're Winning in with Robbie Williams there, haven't there now? Got to be.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So yes, we'll Carl, if you're listening, you know what you need to do.
Yes.
And just in case you needed any kind of nudging as well, every week, we've all got our Terrace mugs. So there you go. Good stuff. Right, let's get on with this nonsense and introduce our special guest this week. Someone who's got a very little digital footprint online. So this is a very short intro, I think it's fair to say. He's an architect, a Nottingham Forest fan, and the man who also acted as agent in coercing his schoolmate Graham Swan into joining the league, I believe. So let's give a very warm Sing When You're Winning podcast welcome to our special guest, Andrew Chester. Woo!
Evening, chaps. Pleasure. I'm honoured.
Well, I'm very pleased to say that you are a regular viewer on YouTube as well, and so you know what's going on in this podcast.
Oh, yeah, more than Steve does, I think.
Yeah, well, what are you drinking there, Steve? Is that lemonade or?
This is orange, cordial orange, which I don't have a pancake to put it on this week.
Yeah, you're a bit of a fan of the cordial orange, clearly. But yes, thank you for joining us, Andrew. So yes, what would you rate this podcast out of 5, given that you were having
Out of 5? Well, I was going to say 4, but I thought that was out of 10. I'll stick with 4 definitely. I know it's normally 4 stars on YouTube.
4
so
stars.
I'll,
Good.
I'll
We'll go with 4. We'll go.
Always
with 4.
room for improvement.
Yeah, of course there is. Of course there is. I mean, it's only the first season, isn't it, people? So do you know what I mean? We've got to have something to aim for. But let's have a look at your FPL stats, thanks to Statman Steve. So you are a founding member of the league.
Well, apparently, yeah. I guess I must have been. Obviously, being a Forest fan, Fantasy Premier League had passed me by for a long time. But yeah, and I was trying to think back as to how the connection first came. I guess it must have been through Stuart, the other Mr. Dunn, and the Leeds connection of how I would have got involved.
I think we just all followed each other on Twitter at the time around that time when I was forming the league, and then obviously you and Stu were both football fans, so you were an easy ask.
Yeah. Well, see, Stu was another toaster boy with Graham and I, and so being a big Leeds fan, he, I guess that's maybe how he got into your circle. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
good stuff. But you're playing your 14th FPL and Sing When You're Winning season, so you must have started Sing When You're Winning at the same time as you got into FPL. So
yeah, stalwart.
14 years.
Wow.
Awesome stuff.
What a waste.
Well, some say waste. It makes the weeks go by fast, doesn't it?
It does.
I was in my 30s then.
Yeah, me too.
Steve has described you as Mr. Mid-Table. You've never finished higher than 7th, but you've finished as low as 5th from bottom. You've narrowly missed out on your first bit of glory last season when losing to Rick Witter in the Portions Cauldron Cup final. The final for the Portions Cauldron Cup is this weekend as well, isn't it? So we now know who those finalists are. And currently you're 7th, just 7 points off the top. So this could be your best season yet, and possibly could you win the title? Can you overcome the podcast curse and go on a bit of a run?
No, I'm going to play it like Nuno and say we take each game as it comes, and we just strive to be better. But no, I'm not holding my breath for any title glory.
Well, you never know. But it must be going quite well with Forest in real life and you in Fantasy League. You must be enjoying it this season.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably why I've been a bit more interested. I mean, the sort of the growth of the WhatsApp group helps as well. I think it's not calling the original members anything derogatory, but it's been fun this year. So, it's getting within touching distance, and I've made an almighty mess up of this coming weekend's games through tinkering last weekend, which I don't want to give too much away, but. I'm not holding out for 3 points this weekend, put it like.
Have you used your wild card since Christmas?
Not the wild card, no. But I activated my usual tactic. You'll notice if you ever see my team is never to have Forest players in. So when they tend to do much better when I don't have them, and as a sort of karmic message out to the universe, I had signed Pep as my assistant manager on Saturday as they were visiting the City ground. And now this week I've got about 3 players in the starting 11 and all the bench is injured. I tried to use the wild card and it's unavailable. So I don't know if that's anything.
Use the asthma and you're not allowed to do it.
Yeah. Well,
3 weeks.
Yeah. It's that kind of forward thinking that wins you titles that I don't have, unfortunately.
Because we're coming into that period that I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, where if you saved enough transfers for this, because it's a blank game week, and then for next game week, you could then use your wild card to reset, and then I think in 2 game weeks' time, when there's double game weeks. You can have that if you've still got your free hit left. I'm just giving away all the things I'm planning on doing for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But hopefully I'll get some wins because I'm going through a bit of a weird patch at the moment. But Anyways, so shall we have a look at what happened in game week 28 before we start talking about game week 29? Steve, over to you.
We shall, which have very hastily thrown together because they only finished last night. So, as you've already mentioned, the cup semi-final was between Ben Shires. He beat Faris Badwan 72-51. Faris got to the other cup final last season, but he's missed out this time. And Jamie Hurst, who is high-flying in League One, beat Ben Halliwell 71-45. So they both won quite easily. So it's Ben Shires versus Jamie Hurst in the final there on the weekend.
Yeah.
Premier League, the high score was an 85 by Rich Archer. He beat Michelle Gale. Then there was an 80 for Dan Stewart, who beat Paul Chambers-Tonner, who'd only just gone top, although Dan played his triple captain against him. So
paid off.
Mo Salah, the lowest score there was for John Gregory, who is bottom, and he only got 30, and he lost to you, Andrew.
He did. I was lucky. I was about the third lowest score, I think. So lucky opponent.
That's the luck you need. And Mark Summerton, who was top and is the champion, lost again to Chris Duhamel, who's not turned up today, but that was a 66-62. What else have we got? Faris lost to Adam. I got a draw with Nikolai, which was a bit of a tense one for me last night, watching Isak play. And Leon won the big game against Alistair Bruce Ball. You might remember Leon took a -28 earlier in the season to beat Ali.
Yeah.
League table-wise there, Paul Chambers-Tonner stays top, 54 points. Mark Summerton, 52. Ed Chester's 51. Ali Bruce Ball, 48. And Tom Roberts, 48. But right down to 10th place are on 45 points. So it's all very close up there. Down at the bottom, Nikolai, who I drew with, has got 37. Then it's me with 33. Faris with 30. Dan moves up one on 29 points. Michelle's got 28. And John Gregory is now a little bit behind. He's got 21. So it's looking quite difficult for him to get out of that one now. Championship. Just for you championship dwellers down there. High score there for Alistair Griffin. Alistair Griffin, who got 75. He beat Cole, who got a 66. Swanee got a 72 to beat Jonas, who's bottom. And Swanee was in bottom three as well. Swanee got 72. Jonas got 27. So not sure who Jonas has got in his team, but it's not looking
I looked at his
good
team.
on that
Looked
kind
good
of...
at the weekend, to be honest. Yeah.
Is it as bad as it sounds?
Yes. I think you've clearly not been looking at his team recently because
the twin
weren't ever going to play in his team.
The twin babies are obviously taking a toll on his season. Jamie there lost to Ross. Ross is right down there, Jamie.
Yeah, but I looked at his team and we literally, it wasn't helped that both my keepers didn't play. Little things like that, which just annoy you. But we had a very similar team, so the difference was kind of 2 or 3 players. Anyway, I lost.
Well, the difference was 19 points, actually. So quite a loss.
2 or 3 players, exactly. It was annoying.
3 penalty saves.
Jim finally lost at the top. He lost to Tim Ward, who made him 56-52. So that moves Tim into second place now behind Jim, but Jim's still well clear. Lee, you thrashed Tom Gregory 63-35. Comfortable weekend for you. Nick beat Joe, and I know they were having a bit of asking each other who the captain was going to be before kick-off and stuff like that, but Nick beat him quite comfortably. And Dave Atkins beat Henry, who's doing well at the top. League table-wise, Jim's got 60, Tim Ward 51. The playoffs are Andrew Clancy 51, Henry Mullen 50, Stu Dunn 49, Cole 48, and just outside there is Phil Pinder with 48, and Carl has got 46. Down at the bottom, very tight there, Dave Atkins 36, Rich Lay 34, Alistair Griffin 33, Ross Millard 33. In the relegation zone, then Swanee with 33, Joe Derrick 29, and Jonas has now got 25 points, and his point score's not great, so he'd probably need to win 4 games to get out of the bottom 3 now. So with 10 games left, it's looking dodgy for him there.
Yeah.
League One, the high score there was Craig Wilson. He beat the runaway leader, Jamie Hurst, 84-71. Stu Kelly got a 77. He won against a top-ending game there against Ben Hope, 77-55. Lowly Ben Taylor surprisingly won 71, beat Paul Spence. Rich Pipes closed the gap at the top. He beat last week's guest Frankie. And Nathan Chesney in the bottom two both won. So the bottom three all won in that one. Brez didn't, so it's not helped his situation. Table-wise, Jamie Hurst has got 63 at the top, Rich Pipes 52 in second. The playoffs are Stu Kelly 49, Alex Renton 49, Lee Nicholson 48, Ben Hope 46. Down at the bottom, Nigel Clark 37. Don't forget it's bottom four down there. So the bottom four are Tim Bresnan 32. So he's 5 points behind Nige. Nathan Clark 31, Ben Taylor 30, and Chesney on 27. Although he's won like 5 of the last 6 or something now, Chesney. So he's doing well.
Yeah.
Conference League, the highs there came from struggling teams. George beat Finn 75-55, and Casey Hawks got a 78 to beat Vicky Sparks for 59. There are also shocks at the top for Natalie Pike, who lost to Indy Hawks 54-62, and Sophie Ridge, the manager of the month, cursed it her, and she lost to Becky Bass. And Grace, she had the top end clash with Joe Singleton, and she decided to play a triple captain and won 71-56. So a good tactical win for her. And the league table wise, Pete Martini stays top 61. Ben Halliwell 58, Sophie Ridge 56, and the playoffs are Grace Maloney 55, Natalie Pike 53, Joe Singleton 52, Vicky Sparks 52, and just outside Neil Robertson with 51. The bottom two are Paul Tonkinson with 21 and Chris Murray, still bottom, 18 points.
Go on, Chris.
Though briefly in the live tables, he was off the bottom for a few hours.
Oh well, never mind. There's always this coming weekend, but yeah, there's a few blanked this weekend because we've got the Carabao Cup final. So, who do we think is going to win, Newcastle or Liverpool this weekend in the Cup final? Who are we going for?
Liverpool.
Anyone think Newcastle?
I can't see past Liverpool.
Yeah.
Especially with all their injuries, losing Gordon's a blow for him, isn't it? And
Yeah.
I think Salah will hit form this weekend, and I think he might start scoring, getting some points.
Yeah, he needs to hit form, doesn't he? I'm going to stick my neck out and say I think Newcastle are going to win it. I thought for a while the run they've been on when they beat Arsenal, I thought, there's something about their cup run this season that I think they're going to win it. But anyway, we shall see.
Yeah, they just look so short of firepower somehow to me. Still, especially without Gordon. I mean, during the game against Forest a few weeks ago, Forest had them had 10 minutes and conceded 3. But other than that, they were. It's funny to say you lose 4-3, but look comfortable defensively. But they did. I mean, whether Harvey Barnes is going to provide enough of a goal threat in replacement for Gordon, I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, last night Newcastle looked bad against West Ham. It was a bit of a dull game.
It was.
But you never know; they might have been saving something in reserve for.
You'd always have your eye on it, wouldn't you? You know, you'd not put 100% into the tackles and everything. So I think it was probably a bit of an anomaly last night. I still can't see past Liverpool though.
And Newcastle might have that little bit of a. They always get to a final and don't win, don't they? So they must be thinking, here we are again.
Yeah, we shall see. But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd more than happily see Liverpool win. And Middlesbrough being the only North East side to win a trophy in my lifetime. But I have a feeling that Newcastle will do it this weekend. Also, Lee, you just used the word anomaly. That keeps cropping up in this podcast. I've noticed the word anomaly is used every week now. Somebody seems to say it. So I don't know whether there's a $5 bet on to see who can weave it in. Steve was full of anomalies the other week. So anyway, we'll move on.
I've never said that word in my life.
Nobody's got an album out, have they, called Anomaly or something?
I don't know, but there's definitely something going on. Definitely something going on there. Anyway, other games this coming weekend that aren't cup games. Saturday, as you're on, Andrew, we've gone for Ipswich Forest. I know you played recently in the cup, but what do you think in the league, Ipswich Forest?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, having been a Forest fan for so long and remember the days of League One and trips to the old hockey stadium in Milton Keynes, I very rarely get confident. But Forest should win that fairly comfortably, I think. I mean, admittedly, in the cup game, Liam Delap only came on with 10, 15 minutes to go before extra time, I think. But they do look a poor lot, Ipswich.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's. I mean, they were one when they came up. With a friend of mine's an Ipswich fan, and it was a similar story really with, I suppose, Southampton and Russell Martin, the brand of football that they want to play. But I thought Ipswich looked a bit more a team that had grown together, and perhaps they could take the step. But I think the trouble is, Championship to Prem is such a step, isn't it? And
huge.
I think they've hit their limit. So yeah, comfortable Forest win. There you go.
Yeah, let's be bold. Anyone? I can't see anything other than that. I hope Chris Wood fills his boots as well. He's due a hat trick or something like that this weekend.
Yeah, I've got him as captain this week.
Yeah,
so tomorrow, whenever it is, whenever they play.
It'll be tomorrow. You're right, Lee. This Friday morning. It's happening tomorrow. It's exactly. Stick to script.
Yes, yeah.
And the other game, Arsenal-Chelsea, Steve, will go with you on Sunday. The warm-up to the Carabao Cup final on Sky, Arsenal-Chelsea.
Arsenal, probably 2-0 or something like that. Yeah. Chelsea aren't playing particularly well, are they?
No, but they're still up there. This is why I think this league this season's been particularly poor, to be fair.
Yeah. Arsenal getting draws a lot out there as well. So, was it Arsenal?
It's at Arsenal, yeah.
2-0 Arsenal.
Okay.
And Wary, or whatever his name is, hopefully he'll score both.
I cursed him by putting him in my team as well, so I'll teach him.
Andrew, do you agree, Arsenal?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, you would think it would go that way. Chelsea, you never quite know. They've turned into one of those teams you never quite know what you're going to get from week to week, which must be infuriating for manager and owner.
And if Cole Palmer's bottom sorted itself out, then you never know.
I mean, seriously, this is Palmer's last week in my team, and then he's going. I've held on for him far too long this season.
Yeah. Well, they won 4-3. Was it 3 or 4 when they beat Southampton, and he didn't even get an assist? And I think he was. He was. Yeah, treading on thin ice then, and I think, as you say, Jamie, I think one more week and he'll be.
Well, I think I heard that he's not had an assist since the 1st of December or something.
Yeah. Well, if everyone holds on to him, when I sell him next week, that's when he'll come good.
Well, I've been hanging on to Haaland this long, and now I'm hanging on to Palmer.
I think I cashed in quite early on Haaland because he was so expensive, wasn't he, this season? That I thought, it can free up a couple of different options. But proven right, not by any judgment, but
he's actually doing all right. Haaland recently, his recent form's not actually bad, but the trouble is, Isak and Wood just keep scoring every week, so it kind of cancels it out.
They're the form guys, and I've still got Wissa hanging about in there. He still comes up with the goods every other week, which is good. So those are the 3 games this weekend. Most of the panel are thinking it's going to be Forest win, Arsenal win, and probably a Liverpool Cup win. So we shall see how that plays out this weekend. But Andrew, let's have more of a chat with you about Forest in particular at first. So why did you go for Nottingham Forest?
Well, my parents are from Nottingham. Grew up in Nottingham. Born and grew up in Nottingham. All the family's still up there. Well, some have defected to Leicester and live in the Leicestershire border. But anyway. The parents moved down, got married back in 1966. And Dad always says it was good for one thing, and that was the World Cup. But that's it's sort of growing up in Northamptonshire in the 80s. We all sort of looked at Liverpool, that sort of great mid-late 80s Liverpool team when Barnes joined, Dalglish, all those sort. And it was just one week. I think my cousins, I had a similar age cousin and they were going to the City Ground, and they said, "You fancy coming?" And yeah, so that was October 1988, and I've had the often misery of being a Forest fan ever since.
So, but at that time, Forest were winning quite a
lot
of trophies.
Exactly. I mean,
to watch back in the league.
Yeah, I did. I went to Wembley twice in 3 seasons. There was the oh blimey, what was it called then? Littlewoods Cup.
Yeah, there was
it would have been in 8
one as well. My brother was a Forest fan at the time.
Well, no, yeah, that was just before. Well, that may have been the year 88 or 89. They won that, and then 89 beating Luton in the Littlewoods Cup, and then 90 the year after beating Oldham. I went to that. Missed the Gaza Cup final, and then I think the last trip was in that period was the Zenith Data Systems Trophy. Yeah. So a fine day out in the pouring rain, but they did win. So
no, Forest were good value back then, I would have said.
Yeah, well, do you know, I saw a poll sometime this week about who were the best team to ever be relegated from the Premier League. And I know that was the last season under Clough was obviously the first season of the Premier League. And I mean, you look at some of the names in that Forest team with, Pearce, obviously, but Roy Keane, Nigel Clough, Ian Wone, Steve Stone. And you think, other than the fact that Clough was marginally past his peak then, and I think was usually found in the Dog and Duck rather than the training ground. Well, they just didn't train. I think that was half the issue with them. And even by then, a lot of the Premier League teams were so sort of physically imposing, and they just got muscled out most weeks. But yeah, in terms of best teams to be relegated, that must be fairly close, I think.
And what are your highs of supporting Forest, though? Because they're obviously good times.
Yeah, well, the days that, well, my dad to this day, I say the 90 League Cup final was, because that was the first time I'd gone. My cousins and my uncle, and a load of us had gone. And that was obviously the days of the old Wembley, and played Oldham with it was a miserable first half, and sort of 10 years old, I was, sort of twiddling my thumbs a little bit. But went and said to Dad about 2 minutes before the second half kicked off, "Dad, I really need the loo." And, of course, you go through the queues at the old Wembley to try and just as we were coming out, we heard a roar and thought that, they were coming out for the start of the second half. And, of course, we missed a goal. I think it was the only shot on target in the entire game. So that was a highlight that Father still reminds me of. But obviously, strangely enough, the being back in the Prem has been good, but the playoff final at Wembley was just unbelievable. I think the final whistle was just, the game was horrible. It was an awful watch. It was the first time I've been nervous watching Forest for probably since that 1990 Cup final. But I'm not ashamed to say I did cry when the final whistle went and my daughter came running in saying, "Daddy, what's wrong?" And I couldn't speak for a few minutes. And so that's certainly recently. I think that's even not, regardless of what's happened in the Prem, I think for pure a moment of release, that was magic.
Brilliant stuff. And I know you already kind of touched on the lows, kind of going to Milton Keynes Stadium.
Oh, the hockey stadium. Yeah, it was with about 200 hardy souls. It was January, and it was the hockey stadium held about 1,500, I think. It was all open corners as well, and it was and the crowd was that small, you could hear the players. You really could hear, and that was, I think we had a front two of Marlon King and Gareth Taylor. That's how good it was in those days. And that's about as low as it could get, I think.
Well, it's a different world away from that. Like the elation when you beat Man City last Saturday must have been pretty special, I would have thought. Yeah,
well, I think it was the sense of what's been nice, the sense of genuinely, because even last first season, I think we took anything. I mean, the first season we stayed up and we beat Arsenal when it was confirmed that we were going to stay up, and it was one of those, Awoniyi scored. I mean, how he's got so many goals, I don't know. I mean, it was a tackle from the Arsenal centre back that ricocheted off his shin and in the back of the net. And of course, you don't mind, but it was always a sense that every week we were hanging on. But this before Saturday's game, I was not confident of a result, but thought, we'll compete here, which is all you really want. You don't really want to go and be hoping just to get anything out of the game every week. So, as Steve said earlier, that's probably as much to do with the quality. I think that's been the most surprising thing of Forest being back in the Prem is the standard, the general standard of teams. I was kind of expecting it to be a huge jump in terms of quality, but I think it's each team. They're full of athletes. It's kind of easy stereotype, but they're full of athletes, and the quality is better. But I think the general standard, I don't think there's that many outstanding teams in the Prem.
No.
But it's nice to be in and feeling fairly comfortable. I think Saturday's result meant Forest were mathematically safe, so I'll take that. That'll do me.
All you've got to aim for is start the season, stay up.
Yeah,
I think you've kind of got a season where a lot of the good teams are having off years, haven't they, this season? Yeah. And the bottom three are just really bad.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's it. We seem to say it every year. This year, there'll never be a better chance of finishing within, certainly the European. I'm still not convinced they'll get Champions League, but certainly in the European spots. But we've said the last 2 years, you won't have a better chance of not being relegated because the other three teams were so poor.
Yeah.
There have been, Southampton this year, Ipswich, with respect to Leicester as well. They're nowhere near, I don't think.
Well, I think I heard something the other day. I think the bottom three last year collectively got 66 points or something, which was the lowest collection of the relegated teams. And this year, the bottom three right now have got 45 points.
Really bad, yeah.
So they're going to have to pick up quite a few wins to not be the worst three ever.
Yeah,
Southampton could even be beat Derby. Did Derby get 12 points or something?
11. Not that I remember, but 11 points. Yeah.
You don't forget things like that as a Forest fan. No. I'm sure. Cool. So should we see who's been doing the homework then? That's just a heads up to Lee and Steve, and we might even have a listener question. Who knows? First question from me though, Andrew, is do you have any top tips about how to clean bird poo out of your clothes, or even better, how to avoid it happening in the first place?
Do I?
Do you?
Nothing.
Has a bird ever shot on you? I guess is the other way of asking it.
Well, yeah, that's a slightly different question. Well, I think it's just luck of the draw, isn't it? I know it's supposed to be lucky if it happens.
It is. Yeah.
So just never look up with your mouth open and wear a hood at all times.
Yes, they are.
It's up there. We don't eat yellow snow. That.
Yeah, or one of those. One of the hats with the umbrella on the top. Maybe one of them.
Years ago, I went to. I was in South Africa. And I went to a place called Monkey World in Plettenberg Bay, and the advice there, because it's in the wild, all the monkeys are there. They're like nicking loads of stuff, and they said don't leave any valuables lying around. And when you look up, put your hand over your mouth because the monkeys might do something in your mouth. That's a genuine tip. So there you go. So if you think birds shitting on you is bad, imagine a monkey. That's all I'm going
Well, we watched something on the telly the other day in New York, and it was near Jackie Onassis Reservoir, and it was a bit where I was with my daughter, and I said, "Oh, do you remember when you were stood there and that bird shit on your head?" And which she did. And then she reminded me that as I was saying that to her, it shit in my mouth.
What did it taste like?
I don't know. Spat it out pretty quick.
Cordial orange.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Yeah, that must be pretty bad, to be fair.
Yeah.
Nice.
Have a sip of me tea. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what mug's that again? Is that the?
Yeah.
I think that mug would go down well on Soccer Aid this year for some reason.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it would.
And with the Robbie Williams link, I'm sure Carl could easily sneak a little "Sing When You're Winning" somewhere on the collar or something, couldn't he?
Yeah. Come on,
Yeah.
come on, Carl. You know it makes sense. One more question from me. So, Luke, obviously, the bit of information I've got is that you're an architect. I mean, that could mean all sorts of things. But which football stadium do you wish you'd been involved in the build-up? There's a loose question.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I've got to say the San Siro. That would age me considerably, but and I think it's. I mean, don't get me wrong. The new Madrid or the upgrade to the Madrid stadium is phenomenal, and the new camp will be the same. I saw with interest the initial plans for the new Man United stadium that apparently Sir Norman. You have to salute every time you mention Norman Foster's name. Sir Norman has been involved with. But yeah, I think whether or not it was just that age of Gazzetta Football Italia on a Saturday morning growing up, but the image of the San Siro, it just looked alien to me, and I've just always been astonished by it.
Yeah,
so
it would be a cool one to visit, I think.
Yeah,
I've got a chance to go.
Oh, I think it's awful. I mean, I think as a practical stadium, I mean, I think it's dreadful.
I think it's one of those you'd like.
But yeah, as an iconic image, particularly sort of from the outside, but from inside as well, particularly during the Milan derby, I mean, imagine would be about as good as it gets.
Pretty cool. But yeah, you mentioned the Man U. I think that was announced early today, wasn't it? This Friday morning, 100,000. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, supposed to hold. I mean, allegedly Norman Foster's a United fan. I mean, whether or not he was, because on a certain angle, the CGI they've done, it did look a little bit like a circus tent with a
it looks like
the top. So
Old Trafford becoming New Butlins seems to be the thing going around at the minute.
Yeah, but
where are they building that? I know I've not really looked into it. Where are they building it on the site of the original?
No, it's all part of this South Manchester regeneration, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if you've seen the interview with Jim Ratcliffe over the various networks, but I think they're more or less saying, one hand he was saying Manchester United is the world's biggest club, but then the government should help them to fund it as part of the South Manchester regeneration. So they are the biggest club, but they can't afford their own stadium. So work that out. Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying much about Manchester United this week. I'm going to move swiftly on.
Well, I did hear something about the body language expert on 150 grand a year.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I saw that. Madness.
What a job.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you could do that. Yeah, look at Luke Shaw. He looks lazy, and look at Marcus Rashford. He looks miserable, and thank you very much.
Harry Maguire looks a bit leggy,
slab-headed. Yes.
No,
he looks crap.
Yeah. Well, I thought that's what the circus tent was for, but bless him.
Good stuff. Right. Who's done your homework? Who's got a question? Well, we know Lee will have for sure.
Yeah. You've asked mine because I was going to talk about the United Stadium, but I'll ask it, but slightly differently. So, what if you were to design a new Forest Stadium? What unique architectural feature would you bring in to make it like a unique fan experience? Like United have done the Tridents, they're calling it. The 3 200 hours. What would you do?
Well, yeah, it's finding that balance between having a link with the club and the history of the club, and going towards the. Well, I mean, with the statue of Clough that they purposely have left out, into the city centre and away from the ground. I mean, football is dictated by money, as we know, and I don't think with the constraints of the existing city ground, I don't think Forest could ever redevelop to the point that they would be financially a powerhouse. But I would do my best to retain the location and keep it where it is. I think the Trent is iconic enough. I don't think, without putting, a statue of Clough holding the European Cup, I don't think Forest have got anything else too significant to shout about. Really.
Are Forest in County the closest English clubs? The closest grounds?
English, I think, yeah. I know Dundee are the British clubs, aren't they? But yeah, they are literally sort of over the other side of the other side of the river. With Trent Bridge is closer than Meadow Lane, and then to make up the square is the local Hooters, which I know we've discussed a few times in the WhatsApp group. But
yes,
yeah. Well, you and Swanee have.
Tastefully.
Yeah. Wait, I mean, you lot keep saying about an end of season doing York, and Swanee and my offer of the day out at Hooters has sadly declined.
Well, you need to put it back on an offer. Nottingham's a bit more middle of the road for everybody, isn't it?
My wife said to me yesterday, she said we got married in Vegas and went to Hooters for our wedding breakfast. So my wife said for our anniversary this year, she'd take me to Hooters in Nottingham. Now we've moved back to the Midlands. So I think that's a date with the missus. Quite happy about that. Winning at life there.
Very good.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah.
Good stuff. So, Steve, are there any listener questions in that?
I'll have a quick. Just the one actually this week.
Okay.
Although he's got two questions. This is from a aforementioned Mr. Graham Swan. His question is: can you ask Andrew how many times a day he gets mistaken for Richard Ashcroft?
Not so many now. I've cut my hair. It was yeah.
And his other question is: are you ever going to manage Toaster Town and take them on a ride up the leagues like Wrexham?
No, is the answer.
Just
no, because knowing Toaster is a town of a population, ever growing, but 10,000, I think, roughly, last sort of census, and I say growing by the day. And for 15 years, they never had an adult football team because they used to play in the what's called the United Counties League, which is sort of a step down from the Southern League, which is a step down from the National League. So, I mean, a decent standard, and but of course, when locals get involved and a certain amount of finance gets involved and money comes into a club, so often the money can disappear. And so Toaster went bankrupt despite all the things going in its favour. The nearest sort of significant town would be Brackley, I think, or Banbury. And yeah, for 15 years, I say, they never had an adult team. And I would not want to be part of a resurgence of it. So no is the answer, unless he wants to come and be the Peter Taylor to my Clough.
I mean,
that's an offer.
Yeah, that would make a great fly in the wall documentary, I'm sure, as well.
I suppose we've got to ask, have you got any dirt on Swanee, really?
Oh dear. Well, it's Friday morning, so no. If it was a Tuesday evening, or maybe, but as it's a Friday morning, we're recording this. No.
I mean, the question is, if I know Swanee said he doesn't really do many podcasts, but if he does, has he managed to get his screen working yet? Do you ever talk to him and he gets his screen on?
No chance. If it's not in person, you never get to see his face. Well, unless you watch the IPL, and then you can't get rid of him. So, yeah,
good stuff. Good stuff. Well, that'll be coming up soon as well. The IPL, won't it? It's not far.
Yeah, I think it is. Well, all the England players, to try and show a bit of humility, having been battered in the Champions Trophy, are now all pulling out, aren't they? So
yeah, it was a
shock. I think
wasn't it?
It's amazing that for years and years, everybody lobbied for Swanee to be involved on the England coaching staff, and now he is, and they haven't won a game for about 18 months. But he'll soon be my assistant manager, so he can forget cricket.
Exactly. Yeah, he's got work to do at Toaster for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. Great stuff. Thank you. Right, shall we have a game of Sing When You're in Superfan? And what's your footballing knowledge like? This week, I've mixed things up a little bit and gone League Cup special as it's the League Cup final. So are you happy with the conditions of taking part this week? Because I appreciate that's different to what we normally throw in the mix for everyone. Yeah. You're happy to take on the League Cup challenge. So each week we test our guests' footballing knowledge, see how many questions they can get correct in 90 seconds. Now, as an avid listener of the podcast, you will know that the top score to beat is 7. Yeah. So can you get 7 or more? If League Cup's your thing, you never know. It could be the right topic. And if you score at least 1, you're in good company. I think it's
fine. Yeah, as long as it's all pre-1990, then I should be fine because I haven't really watched since then.
Well, I think a lot of these questions are post 1990, so that could be.
We'll see. Well,
that could be very bad for you.
One will be fine then.
We'll see how it goes. So Steve is going to time 90 seconds, and when we get to 90 seconds, he will shout out something topical to alert the fact that your time is up. If I start a question, I'll finish as per the Mastermind game show and all that. And Lee, by default, will be scoring this week, and we'll have his. You haven't got any of the. Oh yeah, I have got a background there. Yes, not seen that one before.
Just the one today.
Thumbs up. That doesn't do it when it just works for you, Lee. You've got that magic touch. Yeah, I don't know how he makes it happen, but
I feel like I've got hair when I see
that. he's got that sorted, hasn't he? So there we go. Right. So when I ask the first question, that is when your 90 seconds will start. Again, this is all about the League Cup this week. It is ChatGPT. If there's any nonsense, the other people can shout it out, and we'll start again. Cool. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Great stuff. Question number 1. Which manager led Birmingham City to their League Cup win in 2011?
Steve Bruce?
It was Alex McLeish. In which year did Tottenham Hotspur last win the League Cup?
2008.
It was 2008. In which year did Leicester City win their first League Cup title?
First? Ooh, no idea.
They beat Middlesbrough.
Remember
well.
98?
97. You're unlucky. So which team did Swansea City defeat in the 2013 League Cup final to win their first major trophy?
Arsenal, I think.
It wasn't. It was Bradford City. Can you remember their
run? Was it?
To the cup final? No. Yeah. So which player scored a last-minute goal for Man U in the 2009 final against Tottenham?
2009. Berbatov?
No, it was Michael Carrick, believe it or not. Who scored the winning goal for Chelsea in the 1998 League Cup final against Middlesbrough? Again, we got there 2 years in a row and got beat by both. 98 Chelsea side.
Yeah, Di Matteo was the FA Cup, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Zola?
It was Zola, you're right.
Oh.
Which team did Manchester City defeat in the 2014 League Cup final?
Young man.
Was that Sunderland?
I started, so I finished. It was Sunderland. You are right.
Yeah, Toure scored. I only watched that the other day. Oh dear, 3. Well, 3 for Stuart Pearce and get well soon.
3. That's that. To be fair, yeah, not many people are going to be across League Cup finals. That was good. I think you did well to get 3 there. I think that was it. And I'm not patronising you before anyone listening.
No, I'll take 3 all day.
Genuinely think 3.
Middlesbrough 1-0 up, Jamie.
It won't last. It won't last because we can't defend, but I'll take that. And the sad thing about the League Cup is, yes, it's the only trophy Middlesbrough won, but 97, 98 were torturous getting to Wembley and losing, but there you go. Right, so should we have an update on Bletchley Scott? We're wearing the Bletchley Scott attire here. They played Stony Stratford at the weekend. Now, I mentioned on last week's show that they lost last time out to Stony Stratford. So what do we think happened over the weekend?
What score was it last time?
I think they lost 5-0 last time.
4-0. Lost. Slightly improved.
anyone else.
Oh, it's got sneaky 1-0 away win all written all over
3-0 win. 3-0 win. I'm gonna go.
There's a lot of confidence there. I mean, I cheer the Bletchley lads on as much as anyone, but they sadly lost 8-1 to Stony.
I got the one
at the weekend, but they're back in action.
At least they got one. Was it an own goal?
It doesn't say, unfortunately, but we could find out. But Bletchley are back this Saturday playing Olney Town Colts, who they beat earlier this season. So I think they're going to return to their winning ways. But Andrew, you said something before we came on air about how close you live to Bletchley to be able to see.
Yeah, well, I say it's just the other side of, or sort of to the east, as I am from Milton Keynes. So it's 10, 15 minutes from where I am. I mean, Stony Stratford.
You could go and watch.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. Yeah,
I could. Yeah.
Good, but he doesn't fancy under 15 lads.
Well, ironically, Stony Stratford's even closer. That's 10 minutes down the road. So if I'll need to set up the fixtures on my calendar and get alerts of when they're there.
We'll have to get
for next season. Probably.
Yeah, you'll share the link for next season. But yeah, let's say come on Bletchley and hope that they get back to winning ways this coming weekend.
Come on, Bletchley.
Yeah, but now the weather's getting a bit. I'm a fair weather Sunday morning supporter, so I'll see if I can get down before the end of the season.
Yeah, they play like Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. or something like that.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah.
I won't see them.
The occasions they do win, I often get a message from Carl that tells me that they've won on the Saturday. So if I don't hear
and if any of you lot just turned up in your shirt and that, they're thinking, what the hell is this guy?
I think we need to have a trip, genuinely, because that would just be entertaining. I think if we all rocked up.
A lot of middle-aged men, full kit.
Yeah,
we get laughed at by the opposition, don't we?
Well, the Thames Valley Police Station is not far away, so I think.
Well, anyway. So yes, you can follow at Bletchley Scott FC on Instagram for updates as well, should you want to. Right now it's time for the last feature of the show, and thanks to Frankie, we're mixing it up. I liked what he did last week, so we're now calling this week's feature "Shooting Stars in Their Eyes." Because tonight, Matthew, you need to pretend that you're a Forest legend and answering the questions that would normally have been asked. So Frankie last week pretended he was Mickey Gray. So which Forest legend would you like to pretend to be, Andrew, for this week?
Well, bearing in mind, I'll have to say Stuart Pearce. Bearing in mind he's not very well. So
So you're going to be Stuart Pearce. So tonight, you're going to, or this Friday morning, Matthew, you're going to be
Friday morning. Yeah,
great stuff. So answer these questions as if you were Stuart Pearce back in the late 80s, early 90s.
So, an impression?
Can you do an impression? Yeah, you're good impressions.
Well, yeah, no, he's good. Well, my impression of Stuart Pearce would be the same one as Mark Crossley's. I don't know if you've seen him on Under the Cosh. Mark Crossley's stories about Brian Clough and his impressions of Pearce, where he sort of talks like, "Oh, all right, Sam," with an awful London accent. So perhaps we'll leave that to Big Norm.
Okay. Fair enough. But yes, imagine you're Stuart Pearce then. So, what would you do if you could be invisible for a day?
He would say, "Get on stage with the Sex Pistols." That's because that's all he used to talk about. Then was either being a punk or
Good stuff. Good stuff. What is your claim to fame outside football?
Outside football.
Outside of football.
Fixing Barbara Clough's iron, I think. That's the story Big Norm likes to tell about it. But I think that's kind of football as well. Again, he was in a video for the Stranglers, another punk band.
Yeah. He loves a bit of the punk. There's a band called Stuart Pearce as well that had Stuart Pearce in a video recently. They've got a new album coming out. They're from Nottingham. They're a very good band if you've not heard of them. What, if anything, frightens you?
Frightened.
Does anything frighten Psycho?
Oh, he'd say a speedy winger, wouldn't he? Who would that have been? Ryan Giggs, maybe, or Franz Carr played for Forest, didn't he? But so Tony Daly.
Tony Daly.
Now.
Oh yeah, Tony
Somebody
Daly
like that.
Cracking. So, outside of football, what is the biggest risk you've ever taken? Just make it up for comedians.
Yeah. Yeah, go and drink him with Roy. Yeah, go and drink him with Roy Keane, probably. That would be, yeah.
And Stuart, what's your favourite cartoon character?
Oh, Fred Flintstone.
Oh, I can imagine Pearce.
Yeah.
Would love a bit.
Yeah.
Wouldn't he?
Well, he used to have when in the late 80s, when all the footballers started getting a little bit of money. Nigel Jempson, I think, was the first footballer who ever had I ever saw with a personalised number plate, and he had a Ford Escort XR3i with H10 Gem on it, IO Gem.
Yeah.
And Pearce used to turn up. So Des Walker, I think, had a Mercedes, and Pearce used to turn up, and a Volvo 840, the big, looked like a hearse.
Yeah.
A bright blue one, and it looked like you could pedal it with your feet. So it was that old in comparison. But, same car as Swanee's dad, actually, although his was a Torslander. So that's a nice little.
Good. And
Swanee will find that funny. Don't worry.
Final two questions. Which actor would you most like to be?
Ooh. Would he say?
Is he answering this now or in the 80s?
As if he's in the 80s.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood, surely. Got to be.
Yeah, I can imagine Psycho being that. And last, the question we ask everybody, what was the first car you bought and how much did it cost? Although you've kind of linked into the car, but yeah.
Yeah. I think that would have, looking at the age of it, when he used to drive to Forest, I think it was that.
Yeah. How much do you reckon it cost him back in the day?
Ooh, about £4 by the look of it. It's,
£4.
£4, yeah. Yeah, no, it would have been, he looked like a mini Metro sort of bloke, I think, back in the day. So a nice £50 mini Metro.
It'd have been something to get all his electrical stuff in, won't it? And...
Oh, yeah, a Bedford Rascal or something.
Yeah.
Proper vehicle. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, that was shooting stars in their eyes. With how did it feel to be Stuart Pearce for 2 to 3 minutes? Was that fulfilling all your childhood dreams?
Yeah, cosmic. Yeah,
love it. Didn't Stu Francis used to say cosmic and proper going back into the 80s there?
Yeah, it was Rodney Trotter, wasn't it? Oh, right,
yeah, cosmic, Rodders.
Absolutely. Right, you can follow us on Twitter at SWYW _FPL. The double underscore is very important. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can leave us a comment or ask us an FPL question, where we might even discuss it next week when we're joined by another top guest who shall remain a secret for another week. But thank you so much, Andrew, for taking up your time this Tuesday
been a pleasure.
Friday morning.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for coming on, and good luck with the rest of the season as well. Obviously, you're getting close. You could have a late title charge with 10 games to go.
Or finish 6th, your best ever.
Or finish your best.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, I say I won't give too much. I'm not sure who my opponent is at the weekend, but I won't need to give away too many secrets. I've got 3 starters as it stands. So
yeah,
and Pepper's assistant manager. So I wouldn't be. We'll move on to the next.
Pep as your ass man right now.
But again, it was a Forest curse. You know, the kind of reverse psychology.
It cleared out your 3 points, didn't it? So it was worth it for that. To be fair,
it was.
It was worth it for that.
I'll take it.
Good stuff. But yes, good luck for the rest of the season. And
Thank you.
Thanks to Steve and to Lee as usual. Enjoy your footballing week and keep on singing and keep on winning. Goodbye.
Bye.
Cheers.